Hey guys, welcome to the Six and Out podcast. I have Wasim here with me, and we are here to discuss the IPL and everything else in the world of cricket.
Yeah, looking forward to this. I think we've had many podcasts, but we've not had cricket, so I think I'm happy and looking forward to being on this one and having a few series going forward. So it's going to be a weekly thing, hopefully.
Same, I'm excited too. And the IPL has been pretty exciting as well over the past month or so. New records being broken, bowlers getting smashed all around the park. What has your take been on the game so far?
I think it's been a very good IPL thus far. I think my interest very much stems from the influence of the South African players. So I sort of watch particularly if there's a South African influence in the game. So if there's like SRH, for example, they've got so many South African players within their squad. So whenever they're playing, I always try and keep a close eye on the match, and they are sort of my team. But overall, I also then watch, if they are big name players. Um, big name players involved, so like Kohli for RCB or any of the other big names. Dhoni, has been doing amazing things at the age of 42. So I think that sort of keeps one's interest as well. So I think it's been a very good IPL, but obviously a lot of talking points, and I think we'll get into it a bit later. How have you found it, Ronik?
Yeah, I found it pretty interesting as well because things are changing. 200 is considered a par score now, whereas earlier 200 was considered a winning score. Bowlers are having a tough time. I bowl sometimes, so I can feel their pain almost. And it's almost like as the bowler misses by almost just a fraction, and then he's getting pumped all over the park. So yeah, it's been interesting. Some of the stars have performed. Some of the stars are still missing. So it will be interesting to see when those stars will come into the picture and how the table shapes up from here. Because I think the mid-table race could be pretty exciting going to the closing stages of the IPL.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing is that not one particular team has really run away with it. It's been there are a few teams who have done well. KKR, Sunrisers have done well, but
Rajasthan
there
as well.
isn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
and but there hasn't been one team that's like won 7 out of 8 or something of that sort, or two teams who've done that sort of thing. So it's kept the mid from second to the bottom. It's kept it quite close. And if a team goes on a run, they're still in with a shot. So I think that's been the interesting thing. Um, and yeah, I think we obviously with this podcast, the aim is obviously for you to like and subscribe so that we can have more cricket content on this channel. And obviously follow Sportycast all the way, be it on Twitter, be it on YouTube, um, or wherever else, on the social, so that we can see more content of this sort of thing.
Yeah, speaking about the mid-table teams, LSG did the double over CSK. In fact, going to CSK and beating CSK at the Chipok is one of the hardest things. CSK has almost a 70% win record at home. So, what is your take on this couple of games?
Yeah, I think it was. I wrote it off because I had a meeting that evening, so I had to head out. But when I checked the score, I think Stoinis just got to 50, and it was off 20 odd, 25 balls, 26 balls. So I thought, okay, it was a great innings, but there's still a hell of a lot of work to do to get close to the target. So when I left, I thought, okay, he's done well. I mean, he doesn't always bat at number three, so he's done well. He's put his hand up for further chances. But then all of a sudden, I get home the evening and I check the score, and I was like, wow, he actually went on and made scored a big one and won it for his team, with a few balls to spare. So I was really shocked, given the fact that it was such a big score to chase, and they were behind the 8 ball at the beginning. But also because it was at the home of the champions, at the home of a team who very rarely lose at home. They've got a phenomenal record there. So it was just a shock to the system, basically. But it was good to see because I think for me, that's what intrigues me about the IPL is that there's always different stories, different things happening, and uh, any given day the narrative can change. And I think that was just brilliant from my point. And I made sure to see the highlights thereafter.
Yeah, and coming to CSK, actually, I think CSK's tactics have been slightly questionable over the past two games. Them sending Jadeja up the order, and I know the fans want to see Dhoni bat as well, but from a cricket enthusiast, he's been batting well. So in that case, you would like him to be facing more balls. It's not like he's only here for the fans. He's actually scoring runs at a fairly good clip, but he's only getting to face three or four balls per innings, which is not that great for the CSK team as well. Obviously, Dubey and Gaikwad have been informed, but I think the move to get Jadeja up top has been slightly questionable. What is your take on that?
Yes, from a personal point of view, and I see a lot of teams doing it these days. Axel Patel did it yesterday for DC. Okay, he also performed well. He scored a 50, and he laid the platform for what was to come. I know Sam Curran has been doing it for Punjab as well, and I've in our group chats I've been saying that I don't feel that sending a all rounder up top is always necessarily a good thing, because I feel if you've got batsmen who have the ability to score big, you've got to give them the opportunity to do that. And by sending in all rounders, yes, they can do the job, but more often than not, I think they would take up balls to get going, or they basically not always score those big runs, which I feel you've got to entrust your batters with. So so from that point of view, I think sending in Jadeja or Axel Patel, sending them early, it's okay if it's a once off, or maybe 2 or 3 games. But if you're going to be doing it for more than that, if you're going to be doing it long term, then I think you're actually hindering the team to a sense, because you're not giving the batsman your full, the full responsibility. You're not giving them the full backing. And I think, because if I were a batsman, for example, I would want to say, give me let me get the option of facing 50 balls and then seeing how much I get. Whereas now, all rounder sent before me, and it's like, so you don't trust me? Is that the
Yeah,
issue? And
I
I think
get
that's a big
I get
problem.
the idea of sending the all rounder up. I just don't think they're choosing the right all rounders for it. For example, I think Ashwin did it well once, because when Ashwin went in, he went in with a free mindset and was like, if I get five balls, I'm going to try to score 10, 12 runs and get out. I'm fine with that. But almost when Jadeja goes, he's playing the role that a normal batsman would play. That's where I think the issue comes in. Maybe if you just want to send him for a 10-ball cameo, get 10 balls, get me 20 runs and come back, I'm fine with that. But I think if Jadeja's playing a 45 ball innings and then Dubey doesn't get to bat enough, and they have a lot of nice young talent in Samir Rizvi as well, and even the young MS Dhoni is not getting to face balls because of that. So that's where I think the whole picture comes into place.
Yeah, and I think with them, they've got a few options. It's not only Jadeja that is the option. They could send Moeen Ali in, and he can do it just as good, or if not better job. So I think, yeah, I agree with you. It's about sending him in when there are other options who could do potentially better, and I think that's the issue. And I think if you're looking particularly for a left-hander, by all means you can send him in if you want to protect Dubé if it's a bit too early. If you lose a early wicket or two and you want to keep Dubé from the 10th over onwards, for example, I can understand things like that. But yeah, I just think that that sort of strategy could hinder the team in the long run. And so I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do in the coming games.
Right. Another man who's back in form is Rishabh Pant. How did you find his innings last night?
Oh, it was phenomenal, because again, when Axel Patel came in, he came in at I think number three. They were doing well, but the rate wasn't that
They
big,
lost
and
three
it was
wickets
about,
and they lost three wickets in quick succession right after. So it
yes.
was
So,
kind
so
of sad for them as well.
Yeah, so they when Pant came in, he had like a double role to sort of keep wickets in hand, but also push the rate up, and he did it amazingly well. I mean, some of the shots he hit. I was showing my 7-year-old. I was telling him, like, look at just some of the shots he's playing, because it's not your regular cricket shots. It's just great hand-eye coordination, and it was just phenomenal to see. And I think, given his injuries over the last year or two, it's unbelievable that he's almost the same player he was 2 years ago. And
He's actually come
it
out
was
better.
sorry, I missed that part.
He's actually come out better because I remember the season before his injury, he was relatively he wasn't in the top run scorers or anything, but this season he's come back and actually had runs against his name. He's looking more confident and stable at the crease. I know he's falling over, but the power game seems to be back for him.
I agree with you 100% with that. I think that is exactly it. He's he's just come with a proper focus, and I think he's got this free spirit now, and it sort of goes with the Delhi style of play at the moment, where Stubbs and Fraser McGurk they seem to just play freely without fear, going early from ball one already, and I think that has rubbed off on Pant, or perhaps it's vice versa. Perhaps Pant's free spirit has rubbed off on them, but it's just great to see. And I'm actually glad because the first game or two, DC weren't looking great, and I was wondering, is it going to be a bad season? Is it going to impact him? But it seems that they've now picked up momentum. They've made a few changes, and they really seem to be doing well. And it's all down to Pant. Pant has won man of the match for the last 2 or 3 games. One for his captaincy, one for his batting, and wicket keeping. So
He's
it's
keeping well as
been
well,
great
yeah.
to see. Yeah, he's really keeping well. So, and given his injury again, that was a lot of question marks which people had around him. Was is he going to be keeping as good, given that there are other options? But he seems to be fine. He seems to be flourishing, and I think you made the comment yesterday, and so the viewers might not know, but he's actually put his name and booked his ticket to the T20 World Cup, and I fully agree because I think he offers so much in as a package, and I think India would definitely want to have him in the World Cup squad.
Speaking about another great, what did you make of the move to drop Warner yesterday?
I feel it's justified because you can't only have four batsmen, four overseas batsmen. So you've got to have three as the maximum. Fraser McGurk has done tremendously well since he's came into the team. Breath of fresh air, and he looks great, and he's been scoring. And then Tristan Stubbs has been, I think, in his IPL games, he's got about 225 runs in the IPL thus far at a strike rate of, yeah, it's like over 160. I think 191
He's
against
batting
the
in the right
spinners.
club position as well.
Yes, and he's batting in the correct position, and he's only been dismissed 4 times, so he's been doing well, and he's really, yesterday also he came in 26 from 7 balls and really been doing well, so he can't be dropped. Then you need a fast bowler, so then there's one option available, so it's between him and Shea Hope, and Hope hasn't been given a long run in the team, and he hasn't been playing much IPL, so I think he deserves an opportunity, and Warner's form hasn't been great, so I feel it's the correct decision, and I made a joke that it's no wonder that DC have won because they've actually dropped Warner. So, so yeah, I think it's for now it's the right call to make. I don't know what do you think? Do you think it's the correct call?
I mean, it depends on the role you want him to play. I think if you want Warner to bat through the innings, I don't think, I mean, over the course of the IPL, I don't think there have been many batsmen better than him at doing that. He's been one of the best overseas batsmen to play in the IPL alongside Chris Gayle. And I just feel that I would have played him for slightly longer. I would liked him opening with Prithvi Shaw and getting Fraser McGurk at three. That's the way I would have gone personally. But again, I think maybe just a breath, as you said, a breath of fresh air. Everybody's in the team is more excited, there's more jubilated to play, and I think that just again the young energies getting the team up together, and once you get the momentum on, it's hard to drop any player, irrespective if you they're performing or not. But because once you're winning, you want to stick with the same 11. So I think they might stick with this for the next game as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And then if they need to make a change later on, they can bring him in for Shea Hope, and I think it would still not really hinder the team too much. So I think either way, it's at least there's options. I think that for me, that's the main thing. Where there's been other tournaments before where teams don't have options, where they get hammered, and then it's like, who do you bring in? And there's no viable options. I think
I think that's the
when
case
you're
with
winning,
Punjab, Bairstow, and Russo because like they don't both
exactly.
in Bairstow's out of form, Russo's out of form, so then you're pretty much stuck as to who comes into the team.
Yeah, exactly. Because when I saw him play, I was like, he hasn't been in great form of late, and then he got out early. So it was like you brought him in, he hasn't had an impact in the team, and so then you back to square one. So I think, yeah, I think DC have a good problem, in that they can bring order in when they feel it's right. Otherwise, they can keep the same team. Other teams, as you mentioned, like Punjab, have the problem of they're bringing someone in, but that person's not having the desired impact, and then you're really struggling because now you're scratching your head. What do you do? Who do you pick? And yeah, results don't come that way.
From a South African point of view, are you worried about the form of Andrik Nokia? He's been
Yes, I
pretty
am.
expensive this season.
I am because I think he's been he's been fit, and in terms of he's been playing games, be it in the South African T20 Challenge or in the IPL, but his pace is up. But the problem is he's all over the show at the moment. He's getting smashed almost every game. Yesterday it was Tristan Stubbs
He's
who
gone for the
took
most
him
20
far.
plus, 20 plus overs in the
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah. So he's really struggling. He's I mean the other day they I think it was yesterday the captain mentioned afterwards in the post-match interview, he said that Nokia was having a bad day and they ended up choosing the other bowler, and I think that's a big concern because when you go into the death overs, you actually want to call upon your better bowlers, but at the moment he's having such a tough time that even the captain is saying I'm rather going to go with the other option, and yeah, it's a bit it's worrying, but I think the more he plays, the better he will get eventually. But I think his place in the World Cup squad is under jeopardy because there are others who are doing better, and it's good to see him on the park. But I think he needs to find his radar properly and build confidence because I think it could also be a confidence issue where he's happy to be bowling, but I think he's perhaps not really able to execute his plans the way he wants to. So that will come with practice and more game time. So let's wait and see. But I'm quite worried about his performances of late.
As a DC management, would you bring Jai Richardson in, or would you stick with Nokia for a few more games?
I think it depends on how the team is doing. If they keep winning, then you can sort of keep him in the team just to, as I say, give him that match time that he needs, that match sharpness. But if the team starts losing a game or two, they can't afford to lose too many games. So then that becomes the problem because yeah, they've got like 5 games left, I think, and each game is almost a must win.
Yeah.
So you can't take too many risks in terms of your team selection. But if they win the next game and he plays, then they could keep stick with him. But if they do start losing a game soon, then I think they would bring Jai Richardson into the team.
Which other teams have interested you over the past week or two in the IPL?
Well, I will mention my favorite team because they've been breaking records. So Sunrisers have been doing phenomenally well. Um, I think they've been batting first and just blowing teams away. Absolutely carnage with the way Travis Head has batted and Klaassen and Sharma. I think they really just when they click, there's no team that can match them in terms of batting power. Obviously, I think their bowling is also all over the show, so it's quite a worry. But their batting is just amazing. So definitely Sunrisers, and then yeah, I do keep my eyes on the other teams, but I think I can't look past my own team because last year they struggled. They finished bottom. I think the year before also they finished bottom, if I wasn't mistaken. So they've had a couple of bad years, and all of a sudden this year they bought well. They bought very well in the auction, and it's now starting to click on field. So I think that's great to see. But who's your teams? Who's caught your eye?
From a positive standpoint, I think KKR has really caught my eye. They're playing a relatively similar bunch over the past few years, but I just think this year with the impact player rule, the batting till number eight, number nine, they have six, seven quality bowling options with two quality spinners in Chakravarti and Narayan. Apart from that, you have Stark's been slightly all over the place, but again, the Indian options in Harshit Rana and Vaibhav Arora have performed well. The batting is still eight. Sunil Narayan is in the runs. Ankush Raghuvanshi excited in a couple of his performances. Shreyas is not in the runs yet, but obviously you have the power of Rinku, Russell. So I think KKR is one of the more balanced and well-rounded teams. I think even though they lost to Rajasthan, I still, as of now, I think they are the favorites for me based on the way they're playing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the one team that does worry me. So, like from a Sunrise's point of view, if they do get to the latter stages of the competition, I think the one team that strikes fear into my strikes fear for me is the KKR because they bat so deep. Like if I look at the game that they played earlier in the IPL, where Sunrisers picked up 4 early wickets. I think they were 40 odd for four, and I was like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. They should win from here. But because KKR bat so deep, they still ended up winning the game, scoring a big score, and Russell went crazy. And I think that is their strength is that they bat so deep, but when they bowl, they've also got a lot of different options. So they're capable
I
of
think
getting
one
wickets.
one unsung hero for them has been Ramandeep Singh. I mean, he plays a 5-6 ball cameo, but again, he gets the job done.
Yes,
That's
and
literally.
he
I don't think KKR could ask for anything better from one of the support players.
totally agree. In that game in particular that I was talking about, I think he came in and he changed the course of the game because he scored a big.
35 and
He
17, and he took on Markande and all pretty well.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he just changed the course of the game. So I think that is the thing with him that is working so well is that on any given day someone will do something, and that's what you want in T20. You want different players contributing at different points of time, and they have virtually an impact player, for lack of a better word, but they've got an impact player in almost each
All of them
position.
match
So
winners.
yeah, all of them can do it. So it's just a matter of who's going to do the job on the day, and they find someone. So they've definitely been the team to watch so far, and it's just a matter of can they continue that. But I'm sure they will. And for me, KKR and Sunrisers are two teams who are pretty much going to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of who's going
Uh,
to join them.
which teams are you slightly concerned about? I think we can't count RCB because RCB is already out of the race. But with the other teams that could possibly make it, but they aren't there right now.
I think if I look at like the Titans yesterday, they've got a team capable of doing well. They've reached the final the last 2 years, so they've got a good team and a good squad. But somehow it's just not working for them at the moment. Where they yesterday Miller played a superb innings. Rashid Khan took some great catches, and they did well. I mean, he almost won the game for them, but somehow they also just matches they could win, they're losing. You know, players getting out at the wrong time. So I think that they are a team that for me I'm a bit concerned because I think they are better than what they are showing. Um, and for DC, a team who was struggling at the beginning to have the same amount of points as the Titans, it shows that one team is on the up and getting better, the other team is sort of coming down, and joining the pack. So I'm concerned about them not making the
But the
playoffs. Given
Titans, when I think about the Titans, I'm actually very concerned about the batting because I really feel that. So, for example, the opener with Gill and Saha, and Saha is more of a hit and miss type of player. Like if he gets, he'll get you a quick cameo, or he might get back in the hut. And again, when you have Gill and Sai Sudarshan batting, the tempo of the game slightly slows down, and that's kind of tougher in these 220, 230 type of games. You can't let your tempo slow down for a little bit as well. And then too much pressure then comes on to Miller and Tevatia to then again do great things to make sure the team is winning. And to be fair to them, they have done it over the past 2 years, but I think it's a little bit of a stretch to ask them to do that every year as well.
Agreed, and I think if I look at it's small margins, but yesterday, for example, the 19th over, they decided to bowl Kishore and
Yeah.
a left arm spinner bowling into Pant who was striking the ball amazingly well in the 19th over. That's a risk on its own. And then Stubbs was very good against spin, probably because he's not as well known as some of the other players like Klassen. So they might have just taken the risk. But if they actually did their homework, they would know that Stubbs is good against spin, and that over went for more than 20. And that small margin, if they perhaps went with a recognized pace bowler or medium
Sandeep
pace
Warrior
bowler.
had overs left. Sandeep Warrior had overs left, which was
Yes,
surprising.
exactly. And I don't think he was bowling too badly. So they could have gone with him, but they chose to take the risk of the spinner, and it backfired because he went for more than 20. They picked up momentum, and then the last over also went for quite a few. So DC then made a good total, or better total than what par was. And um, in that bad decision, you then lose the match because I think that's where a poor decision was made. So perhaps the captaincy also then starts getting questioned, and so that's a concern for me. Is Gill
Who is
the
the
right
captain
man?
of Who is the captain of Gujarat? Is it Ashish Nehra or is it Shubman Gill?
Yeah, that's a good question because Nera hasn't done badly as the coach, but yeah, I think when it comes to the on field, I think you've got to back the captain to make or trust his gut. But in that sense, I think that decision was just poor, and was we could see it. I think we mentioned it in the group at that time, is that why is he bowling Kishore, and it backfired badly. So they need to be making better decisions, and it's coming to the crunch stage of the season. So I think I worry for them definitely.
Yeah, I think for me, a team to really question, or the team that we should look into deeper again is MI, the Mumbai Indians. I think on paper they bat like KKR, they bat till 8-9. They have all the power hitters in the world. They have good young solid Indian core as well with Tilak Verma, Nihal Vadera got runs the other game. And so basically, I think they have all the pieces in place in order to be a good team, but just things aren't clicking for them as well. And the bowling, apart from Bumrah, has been average to say at best. Nobody in the
Coetzee as
lineup
well.
is looking.
Coetzee has bowled well
Could
as well, I think, to an extent. Yeah.
yeah, I agree with the fact that Coetzee has bowled well, but I still think they're conceding 200 runs relatively easier compared to most teams.
Yeah.
Even the other day, Rajasthan chased down 190 with I think 4 overs to spare. And I think every time Hardik Pandya is in trouble, he's just counting Bumrah's overs. He just wishes he could bowl Bumrah for 10 overs, but he can't.
But I think that what perhaps a question to you is, are they bowling Bumrah too late? Because I see it often now where he'll bowl one in the power play, bowl a good over, and then he's held back till like the 14th over. But by then the team is already 130, 140 for one or two or three wickets, and the foundation is set for the opposition, and then you're bowling Bumrah. Whereas for me, I would say bowl him earlier, and actually put the opposition under pressure, perhaps get more wickets up earlier, so that in the latter part you then can put the team under pressure by having them 4 or 5 down at the point where Bumrah will bowl his third over or his fourth over. Do you think he's bowling too
Yeah,
late, or do you think it's justified because he is so good at the death?
I it's not. I think how they're trying to go about it is bowl Bumrah to the best batsman of the other team. So when they were playing against Hyderabad, they kept Bumrah to bowl to Klassen because we obviously know how good Klassen has been over the
Yes, yes,
past 12 months. So what I think, and the other teams also are pretty responsible of the fact. So they're like, we will play out Bumrah, but we know we can get 15 runs of anybody else. So if a teams are looking to be defensive against Bumrah, the best time that Bumrah can make an impact is when he has a new ball in his hand, because the ball will swing more. He could beat the defenses of the bat. But
yeah,
whereas when the ball is kind of old, the batsman not scared of any swing, not scared of any seam movement or something like that. So they can just look to play out Bumrah, and then they can look to attack the other batsman. Because if you look to attack Bumrah, you might lose 1 2 wickets in the over.
yes,
So what they do is they'll attack Kudsi, they'll attack. In fact, even Kudsi didn't bowl another over after he got hit for 15 or 16 in the first over against Rajasthan. He didn't get to bowl again in the entire game. So again, it just shows Hardik Pandya's trust in his bowling resources, that either the trust is not there or the plans are not in place. I'm not sure exactly what is it, but there's the team isn't performing like the way it should be based on actually the resources they have.
yeah. That's the thing. I think they've got a lot of resources, but it's about using them at the right time, and perhaps that decision making isn't quite working out. But hopefully, there's still time, and I think MI they've got a lot of supporters all around the world. So I think a lot of people would want to see them click because I think a good MI makes for a better IPL. So I'm hoping that they do click eventually and put their hands up for qualification, given that there is still a few games to go.
So I think that's it from analyzing a team point of view. We discussed in the last part of the episode. We would like to keep that more to it open-ended and try to get your opinion, my opinion on different trends that are happening in the IPL. So I think the number one question going around the IPL, even the players have started to comment about it now, is the impact player. What do you think about it?
I'm not a fan. I feel that the impact player, it's taking away a lot of uh, the, the fact that you can the strategy part of the game is being nullified because all of a sudden if you only had five bowlers you can now just make an impact player and have a six bowler specialist bowler you can bowl and you'll have six options for example if you really want to and you can pick and choose where you're going to bowl when whereas if you only had four bowlers for example and you tried to sneak in four overs from all rounder, you know, and then South Africa used to do it a lot with could they play Markram as a fifth bowler, for example, and give him four overs because then you get an extra batter. But now with the impact player, it's taken away because now the captain he doesn't have that pressure of when to fall in those four overs. You know, he can predetermine, okay, he'll bowl that over, this over. And I think that strategic part of the game where a good captain can win a game, it's not really working out now at the moment. At the moment, the games are won because players are hitting 25 sixes per innings, and it's just it's a ridiculous amount of hitting that's going to win you games instead of a great call here by a captain to do this at a particular point in time or that. So I'm not a fan of it. Also, um, I just feel that teams should pick an 11 and they must make do with that. And that's where the interesting part of the game comes in is how to use your resources. Whereas now with
Just
12
a
players,
small thing. Yeah, just a small thing on that. Because I think, I mean, as of now, you can decide your 11 based on the toss. You're batting first or bowling
yes,
first.
yes,
If you were to decide an impact play, maybe we'll just keep it no. You have to select 11 irrespective. You're batting or bowling first. You give us one 11, or you basically give us 11 before the toss, and then you add the impact play. I think that adds a dimension of tactics again to hit. But
yes,
now it's plain vanilla swaps. I'll play eight batsmen up top if I'm batting first, or I'll play six bowlers if I'm bowling first. Then I will switch it up. So I think
yes,
that if you want to have the impact player in, you might as well use it tactically. So for example, let's say you see the first innings by the batting and you see, oh, the ball is spinning miles, then maybe you get a spin at it. At least that's you're having something tactically in place. Over here, it's stock standard. I'll play these many batters, these many bowlers, and you just have substitutes coming
yeah,
in.
exactly. I think that's my issue is that it's a lot of it is predetermined now. Whereas I feel so much can happen during a game, and it's about gut feel and about doing this at that moment and that. Whereas that's now being taken away, and I just don't like that. And I feel that there is room for impact player. I get the idea. I do get the concept. It can definitely work. But I think they do need to tweak it, like you say. Perhaps let them name the 11 before the toss, and also like the fact that you have five impact players potentially coming on. I feel it should be limited. Have maybe just one player so that you have 12 to win your match from before the toss is even decided, for example, so that you can really make do with your resources. But whereas now if you lose three early wickets, you can send in an extra batsman. You can send in a Powell, for example. Whereas I think MI, their first game, Brevis was an impact player. He batted well. Now he can't get back in the team because, the impact, the bowling is doing so badly that the team perhaps goes for a different player, and I think that impacts it. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I think there's room for it, but they need to tweak the rules for it to be even better. But for now, I would say it's not having a great impact on the tournament.
And I think as a player myself, for example, bowling four overs is relatively tough because after you bowl two, 3 overs, and if there's a set batsman in, he lines you up almost for the fourth over. So as a bowler, also almost my growth is kind of limited because I know I don't have to bowl my fourth over, so I can just get away with 2 3 overs till the batsman lines me up, and I get away without bowling a tough over. And again, from an Indian standpoint, the World Cup is going to be played with 11 players. If, for example, Shivam Dubey or somebody like a Washington Sundar or these type of players, fringe players, etc., even Jaiswal, for example, Jaiswal used to bowl leg spin till his under 19 days. Now, as an from the Indian point of view, I would like to see Tilak Verma, Jaiswal get a bowl more, so that they could be the proper six bowling options for India. And this is something with India, with which India has struggled for a long period of time. That's why Hardik Pandya is almost an automatic pick in the team always because he can bat and bowl, and you don't have a lot of players like that in the system. And the impact player rule almost cuts out their development over time. So I'm never going to get to see Tilak Verma bowl in the IPL because he doesn't need to bowl because of an impact player coming in. So even for the development of all-rounders, I think it would be really nice for them to do away with that rule, unless the international cricket changes the rule as well.
Yeah, and I think that that's a very good point because, for example, if you're a number seven batsman and you might get a team loses early wickets, you might get an opportunity to really show yourself as I'm capable of batting and scoring a decent amount of runs. But now if a team loses three early wickets, they use an impact player. Someone else comes a batsman who was on the bench. He comes ahead of me now. All of a sudden, I would have gotten a chance to bat for 12 overs. Now I come in and there's only 3 overs left, for example. Yes, the team is doing well. It's great to see big totals scored, but the fact is my growth gets stunned because I basically wouldn't have got. I don't get that opportunity that I could have gotten, and have that exposure. So I think that is the problem that more players are getting opportunities, but it's actually smaller opportunities or smaller windows of opportunities because other players are coming to do specialized things, whereas one player is not getting exposed to everything.
I think just before we wrap up, my last question to you would be: what do you think about the high-scoring games? Do you like 250 playing 250, or how do you see it?
No, for me, if a team scores more than 200, I'm not in favor of it. I feel that there needs to be a fair balance between bat and ball. And I think, okay, grounds are small these days, the bats are massive. So I understand teams will score more than 200, 220 is probably okay. But I feel there needs to be a balance between bat and ball that on any given day, a bowler could pick up a fifer, or 1 over of going for 5 runs could change the course of a game. And I feel that's important. Whereas at the moment, it's like team scoring 250. It's just for me, it's not appealing because it's just too much of a good thing isn't good at all. And I think it's just when I go to a stadium and I see a six, it's a great thing. But if I'm going to see 50, 60 sixes in a 1 2 hour game, then that's also too much because then A6 is not an event; it's an expectation, and I think that is where it's lost at the moment because um, I think what makes cricket great is there are times where bowlers will be on top of the batsman and batsman will be on top of the bowler. But that fight, that balance between who's going to win, that's what excites us. But at the moment now, it's just like every bowler with top bowler, besides maybe Bumrah, all other bowlers, and some of them are world class. All of them are being, hit out of the park on a regular basis. So it's just for me not exciting because I don't get to see the actual skill of the bowler, beating the batter because the pitches are just so flat.
I think from me, I don't mind the 240, 250 games, but I think the batsman has to work hard for it. So I think the ground in Jaipur, I think that's one of the better grounds in the country because the pitch isn't flat, but if you bat well, there are runs to be scored. Jaiswal scored 100 there, Kohli scored 100 there, Butler scored 100 there, and the ground's relatively big as well. So if you want to hit a six, you make sure you middle the ball for six. I don't like this inside half of the bad sixes and all going. Like I think yesterday, Khalil Ahmed was bowling to Vidyaman Saha. He completely outfoxed him with the slow ball. Saha has let go of his top hand, almost Rishabh Pant style, and the ball has gone sailing over the boundary.
Yeah.
I feel if you were let the batsman. I like the intent. I like how Abhishek Sharma is batting. I like how Travis Head is batting up top. But let them earn that right. They do it in the power play. It's fine. They beat the circle. I get that. But once at least the power play opens up, let them middle the ball to hit it for a six. I would like to see that. If you One way I look at it is if you're keeping flat pitches, big boundaries. Difficult pitch, relatively smaller boundaries. So that's one way I think you can maintain the balance. And if teams want to play with this aggressive intent, let them play. That will be their blueprint. If you look at the Chennai blueprint is always get a 160, 170 score, slightly tough track. We'll beat them at that.
Yes.
Whereas let's say Hyderabad says, okay, we will give you a flat track, but we'll give you slightly bigger boundaries. But because we know that our boys hit the best sixes in town.
Yes.
So I don't mind it, but as long as it's at least competitive between bat and ball.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and normally, like, different grounds. Some grounds like Chinnaswamy was always, high scoring ground, and I absolutely have no problem with that, because I know if you're going to go to the other parts of India, there are going to be grounds where a 150, 160 is going to be a defendable score. So I like that aspect of the IPL, but I think in this particular IPL, what has concerned me is that there are a lot of grounds where 200, 220 is not a winning score, and I think that is where you just got to be careful, because you don't want to be, like I say, creating expectation where a team is going to score 250 and they're not even batting great for it. They just, because the
Exactly.
grounds are so the grounds are so small, the pitches are so flat, that it becomes easy. So I think
In fact,
teams
Deepak
need to
Chahar
work.
and Ian Bishop have been talking about the quality of the balls as well. At least let the new ball swing for a couple of overs. So at least
Yeah,
in the power play, you can also create a balance between bat and ball. And it
100%.
also gives bowlers something to work with. So, for example, Deepak Chahar, he's a 125, 130 kilometer per hour bowler. If the ball isn't swinging for him, for batsmen of those level, it's just like hit me balls. That's how it comes out to them because Deepak Chahar isn't getting anything off the surface, and he's not able to display his skill. It takes skill to be able to swing the ball both ways, get your wrist in a position, and that's what Deepak Chahar has grown up doing. But he's not getting a chance to even exhibit his skills, which is kind of sad to see.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think I want to see a bit of every aspect of cricket being, exposed, for its skill, and I want to see great catches. I want to see spinners spinning the ball, beating them for flight, beating them with spin. I want to see them, you know, uh, bowlers swinging the ball and, getting nick for, nick behind. I think small things like that. I just want to see a bit of everything, because that's what makes this tournament even better.
I think that's it from the first episode of Six and Out. Please do follow Sportycast across its handles on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and anything else from your side, Vasim?
Yeah, no, I think cricket has always been a passion of mine, big passion of mine. So I think I'm looking forward to having these episodes, and I think the more likes, the more people share these videos, the better it is for the channel, and then we produce more content there. Therefore, so I think do make sure that you share it with your friends and family and your cricket enthusiasts out there, so that we can enjoy seeing these episodes prosper as well.
That's it. Thank you from our side. Hopefully, we see you next week soon.